Hello everyone and welcome to another edition of How to Make Money as an Independent Musician. Today I want to introduce you to a brand new site that's kind of launching at the moment. It's called Whaleshares and I'm pretty excited about it, and I'm going to give you a brief introduction. I'll do more detailed videos later on over the coming weeks. Whaleshares is effectively a fork of Steemit. Okay, so it looks almost identical, but there are some key differences. Now, if you're not used to the term fork, which is used in blockchain, things like Bitcoin, a fork is basically, as really you would imagine, it's someone taking a piece of code, which in this instance is the Steemit platform, and they take a copy of it effectively, and then they start to modify it so that it becomes its own independent version. And what happened was the people that were using Steemit, that were involved from the beginning, and a few other people that have been using it, some of the witnesses, etc., got a bit disillusioned at the way that Steemit had turned out to be used, because it kind of turned into a bit of a money-making machine with all the bots and whale upvotes and everything. And as you probably know, if you've been on Steemit for a little while, it's very difficult to get a foothold when you first join, because you're getting tiny little upvotes, and unless you get a whale coming along to upvote your posts, then you really aren't going to make much progress, and most people give up. It's full of spam, rubbish and things like that, but it also has its good sides. I particularly love Steemit for the music side, because there is a platform, as we all know, if you've been involved with Atom Collector Records, called D-Sound. And D-Sound has effectively its own bot, but it will only reward high quality music. So if you upload music there, then you can get lucky and start to get regular upvotes. And that's kind of how we managed to get a foothold with Atom Collector Records, and then start the music voter account as well. So it can be good, but it has its sort of its darker sides, if you like, as well. So Whaleshares is an attempt to address that by kind of getting rid of some of the ways that Steemit is used by whales and bots, and making it more of a community thing. So the key differences really are, there is no concept of delegating. Okay, so again, if you're not used to Steemit, a lot of this might be a bit alien to you. I'd recommend you go back to my video Introduction to Steemit, sign up and get involved, join our Discord, and there's loads of information all over the place for you to get stuck into. It's well worth it if you want to try and make a reasonable amount of money from your music. This is definitely the future this way. So back to the differences. So no delegating. Delegating is where you effectively lend some of your power to another account to make it more powerful. There's not really a lot of control on how that happens. So again, a whale can delegate a lot to somebody who doesn't necessarily provide any value to the community. If you want to reward a post on Whaleshares, on Steemit, you could just upvote it without sharing it. So no one would see it, but the person would get rewarded with an amount of money from your vote after 7 days. Well, on Whaleshares, the concept is that if you think the content is good enough to reward, they don't call it an upvote because they want to get away from the terminology of voting. It's more about rewarding good content. So if you want to, if you think the content is good enough, then you should be willing to share it with your followers as well. If you don't think it's good enough, you shouldn't be able to reward it. So that's the concept of that. You will always be sharing it with your followers if you want to reward it with your power. There's only one currency stroke token on Whaleshares rather than the two that you get on Steemit, and it's called WLS, and it can be staked, which is the same as powering up on Steemit, to a whale steak, which sounds like something you put on the barbecue. But yes, you can stake it to increase the power of your account in the same way as you do on Steemit, and you can then provide more value when you reward posts. So that kind of those things are supposed to sort of stop some of the more spammy side of what goes on Steemit. There also will be no bots or curation trails, so it really is about the community. And one thing I would say is if you don't have a lot of time, then Whaleshares may not be for you, because this one is about writing quality posts. You know, we can share our music on here. I'm going to be doing some updates to atomcollectorrecords.com later in the year that will allow you to generate posts for all the different platforms based on the music you have loaded up on atomcollectorrecords.com. So that will save you a lot of time, because it can generate the content for you. But this will work better if you do spend a little bit of time on it, and I think you'll find you'll be rewarded handsomely if you do that. There's some really exciting things happening on the music side within Whaleshares already. It's only been live for 4 days, and to get onto the platform, you needed to have already had some Whaleshares or some BitShares in your BitShares account. So if you haven't got a BitShares account, I recommend you set one up now. They're free. If you wouldn't mind using my referral link, which is underneath this video, then I would really appreciate that, because what it does is I've purchased a lifetime account on BitShares, and it means that it won't cost you anything, but I will get a little bit of the fees, and I can then use that to to create even more for you, and more services and more rewards, etc. So I would appreciate that. So let me tell you about the other thing that is the really exciting part, and that is the ability to create tokens. So anybody on Whaleshares can create their own token. And Savo, who some of you may know from Steemit, is now on Whaleshares as well. He's created a token called Airplay. We were thinking about changing Dollar Indie to be a token on Whaleshares, but it would have been a bit confusing. It would have only been useful for Whaleshares and not other things, so that would have kind of defeated the object of us being able to use it as a broader token. So anyway, Savo has agreed to work with us and allow us to reward people with the new token Airplay, and you'll also be able to trade Dollar Indie for Airplay. So you can do that already on BitShares, but there's not really any trading volume yet because it's all so new. But what this token allows you to do, and this is another change between Steemit and Whaleshares to encourage high quality content and community, a token will basically get rewarded out to people, sent to people via their BitShares accounts. If the people that are managing the token, which is obviously Savo, myself, and other partners, if we think there's content of high quality that's useful for the music community, or the wider community that can enjoy music or whatever, then we can reward you with Airplay tokens, and you can summon a whale. So you can request to get an upvote up to 100% from a whale, and there will be an account called the Jukebox, which will allow you to that will be a whale account, and it will allow you to summon it using your Airplay tokens to get an upvote of varying percentages depending on how many you send. The key is, as I understand it, that you will need your application to do that will not be automatic like an upvote bot on Steemit. It will actually be reviewed by I don't know if it's just Savo or if there'll be a team. This is all kind of new to me, this part of it, but it will be reviewed and it will be returned to you if the quality of the content that you're creating is not up to scratch, I guess. So I don't really know the details about that yet, but that's how it works. And it's all about, again, making sure content is high quality and useful to the community, etc. So really good ideas there for trying to make things better and trying to get rid of some of the money-making side of Steemit. So I don't really want to go into too much detail about anything else other than I'm already on Whaleshares. At the account is at Atom Collector. So when you get signed up, now for the first week you have to use 500 Whaleshares if you already had them to buy your way in, so you can have early access. It's to kind of reward people that were helping to promote it early on. The second week, which is only a few days away, it's 250, and then from September it'll be, I think it's 1 initially, and then it will go down to being completely free. So I can probably help people get on board once it's 1. I haven't got enough to help anyone at 250, I'm afraid. But once you get on board, follow Atom Collector. I'll be doing a lot of the things that I've done on Steemit. There won't be a music voter probably because, as I say, there's no concept of curation trails and automatic upvotes, etc. But I'll certainly be using the Airplay token a lot, and you can replicate your posts across. There's even a tool that someone's created that lets you post once, and it will automatically post the same content out to Steemit and to Whaleshares. But I think it's useful to try and spend a bit more time on Whaleshares and get involved in the community if you have the time. I know many people don't, but it's still going to be useful even if you don't have a lot of time. So I'm going to be getting stuck in. I've already spent quite a few days and many hours using the system, and it seems the people that are running it, I've listened to their podcasts, and there was a launch party, and they really do seem to have their hearts in the right places. They're trying to do good here. So it's going to be great, I think, and I look forward to seeing you on the platform. I'm going to talk a little bit more about it on Radio Evolve tonight, so if you're going to tune into that, if not, there'll be a catch-up available afterwards, but I'll explain a little bit more about it, probably go over the things I've just gone over here as well, again, for people that haven't seen this. So that's it until next time, and keep enjoying and making the music, and maybe see you on Radio Evolved in the chat room on D Live later.